It is no longer news that genetically modified foods pose potential health and environmental risks to human society. But the big question is how many people are informed about this, and how many are bold enough to stand against this evil agenda.
Watch this special documentary and be informed.
Many years ago, a group of individuals came together and unanimously submitted that the population of the world must be drastically reduced. In their postulation, they indicated how the burgeoning world population would lead to uneven distribution of natural resources, water, hostile climate conditions and food amongst several other things. So, the travesty to intently reduce the population of the world commenced.
Some have championed this cause of population reduction. They feel the problem of the world is population.
In the event that I am reincarnated, I would like to return as a deadly virus, in order to contribute something to solve overpopulation. Prince Philip.
What do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population. Because if where we are, there's nothing else.
And do you have views about what should be done about that?
Can't you guess?
Well, it could be on a spectrum from mass sterilisation to you know, greater availability of contraception. I don't know what your views are as to what can be done about it.
Well, I think it might be described as voluntary family limitation.
We've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
so what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people.
I have no doubt that the fundamental source of all our problems, particularly our environmental problems, is population growth.
Our foundation first started up, it was focused on reproductive health. That was the main thing we did because I thought, you know, population growth in poor countries is the biggest problem they face.
Control oil and you control nations, control food and you control the people. Henry Kissinger. In view of the globalists' depopulation agenda, the weapon of food has been identified as a missile for the sickening and ultimate wiping out of chunks of the human population. Under the veil of creating food security for the nations, genetically modified foods are being imposed on the nations, regardless of the wanton wreakage of damage to human health. For over a century, genetically engineered foods have flooded the farm fields and distribution chains of nations around the world. Unsuspectingly, the leaders of nations buy into the sweet talk of the globalists to replace wholesome organic foods with inorganic options. But beneath these carefully sculpted propositions is a sinister agenda.
It's all about control. They're not trying to help you. It's all about reduction of population. Most of what you've been eating was modified a long time ago.
The concept of modification is one that spans human history, from modifications to the human environment, to modifications to the weather. Today, the dreams of certain individuals are being fulfilled as they have successfully woven in these modifications to foods fed to the human body. From grains such as wheat, corn, soya to a host of other foods, the GMO revolution has been nothing short of an ominous attack on the human population.
Reject the genetically modified maize seeds that they are providing. Don't take them. They've been carefully modified to become dangerous to health.
In view of the world's consumption of certain staple foods, corn was one of the earliest genetically modified crops, and has since evolved into an indispensable element in the production and packaging of most foods and consumables that exist in human societies.
Everything is corn. French fries, potato chips, taco meat, soda, ketchup, mustard, yogurt, soup, cookies, mayonnaise, milk, beer, wine, bubblegum, ice cream, pickles, baby food. Even water bottles are made using corn. Virtually everything we put in our mouths is made with corn in some way, shape, or form. Even the meat you eat is made from animals that are fed corn. Corn is also in candles, crayons, cleaners, fireworks, paint, plastic, glue, insulation, antibiotics, aspirin, makeup, battery, explosives, and most importantly, ethanol, which is found in almost all the gasoline in America.
Concentrated sweetener from corn, high fructose. Fructose is a sugar, corn syrup. It is a highly processed sweetener. In my view, it just stimulates us to eat more.
Just walk down the aisle of your grocery store, check out the ingredients on labels, and you'll see the same thing over and over.
High fructose corn syrup is the first ingredient.
It's in pancake syrup, cookies, ketchup, jelly, even cereal and soup.
Among the top list of the most popular genetically engineered foods are soya and cotton, which are included in not just foods for eating, but in clothes worn as covering for the human body.
Soy is one of the biggest GMOs, and soy is so damaging because soy actually contains phytoestrogens and phytic acids, and it mimics estrogen in the body. I mean, Mike, we have 7-year-old girls now having their menstrual cycle, and think about the effects of GMO soy altering the children's genes. Again, the government only approves for welfare and WIC programs soy formulas for babies.
Oh, man.
Right? This is one of the worst things. I mean, this is just so disheartening because how on earth can you feed a baby who, by the way, a child's immune system is not fully developed till it's 12 years old. A child's intestinal tract is extremely sensitive. You have babies that have extreme allergies to foods because at an early age, they're on soy formulas, they're on formulas that contain GMO corn, GMO oils, and the Bt toxin, which is burning holes through their intestinal lining, causing from birth severe allergies and severe problems. And that's why pediatricians' offices are just jam-packed, full with problems from all these GMO foods.
They don't tell parents what to avoid, but let's look at this since you brought it up. Here's a product, Similac Go and Grow. This is infant formula. Let me read for you just the first 4 or 5 ingredients. They will blow your mind. Ingredient number 1, 42.6% corn syrup solids.
From genetically modified
From GMO corn.
So number one ingredient is a GMO corn.
And it's 42%. Are babies supposed to eat 42% refined sugar? I don't think so.
That's right
not
there
what
is
breast
child
milk
abuse, Mike.
I
mean, that is
nutritional child
poison.
abuse.
I mean,
okay, second ingredient, 14.7% soy protein isolate. Soy, GMO.
Soy protein isolate is actually a flavor enhancer, and it's actually made with MSG. MSG is added to soy protein isolate.
Well, and also soy protein is extracted typically with hexane, a highly explosive chemical solvent. In fact, I think one factory in the U.S. blew up, exploded from doing this process.
260,000 American kids used to have autism. It has jumped to 1 in 45. And according to all research, the graph is growing so fast that 1 in 2 kids will have autism. When you are growing a Roundup Ready corn or soya, so it is the GMO and the Roundup together. But it's not just the GMO and the Roundup. There are all the hundreds of other pesticides, and they've never been assessed together. Neurological problems are exploding. I've grown up 100-year-olds, used to have total memory. Anyone passing 60 now has dementia. Where is this decay of our mind and our body coming from? It's coming both from the direct assault of instruments of war, because that's what these chemicals are. They were designed for war, as well as a deliberate attempt to not allow us to know our bodies, our mind, our being, our place on this earth.
Furthermore, popular baby foods distributed in low-income African countries have been discovered to contain high levels of added sugar, contributing proportionately to increased risk of different diseases in young children.
Our next story is about a global giant, a giant that only seems to care about the West. I'm talking about Nestle, the biggest consumer goods company in the world. And what have they done? Possibly risked the health of babies in the global South. Let me explain. A big chunk of Nestle's business is baby food, like infant cereals and formula or baby milk powder. Now in the West, these products follow global guidelines. No added sugar, no honey, no sucrose. Basically nothing sweet. But in the global South, that is not the case. A Swiss organization tested Nestle products sold in the global South, mostly in Asia, Africa and Latin America. And what did they find? Most of them had added sugar. We're talking about products for babies and toddlers under 3 years of age. In Africa, a flavored cereal had 6 grams of added sugar. The same product in Switzerland had none. Another cereal sold in India had 2.7 grams of sugar. In Brazil, 6 out of 8 Nestle products had sugar. How much? 4 grams per serving. In Nigeria, one product had 6.8 grams of added sugar. Now, I know you have questions, and we will try to answer the 2 basic ones first. First of all, why is added sugar bad? And question number 2, why is Nestle doing it? It's bad because sugar leads to multiple health issues like childhood obesity, cardiovascular disease, and tooth decay. And no, it is not a rich man's problem. Obesity is rising in low and middle income countries. Africa makes up 24% of the world's overweight children. Africa. So added sugar is not good for kids anywhere in the world. Most Western governments have guidelines for this. They say do not add extra sugar to baby food. But many countries in the global south do not, like India and Bangladesh. Which brings us to the second question. Why is Nestle doing it? Because it keeps the children hooked. More sugar equals more taste equals more consumption, and more consumption equals more sales. But look at the double standard here. In the West, Nestle is happy to obey the rules, even if it means less sales. But in the global south, they're using a loophole.
Popular Nestle brands Cerelac and Nido are some of the best-selling baby products around the world, especially in lower and middle-income countries. In 2022, these 2 brands alone generated over $2.5 billion in sales. Cerelac's wheat-based cereal for 6-month-old had 6 grams of added sugar in Thailand, 5.2 grams of added sugar in Ethiopia, and 4 grams of added sugar in South Africa. The same product sold in Germany and the UK had 0 added sugar. Nido powdered milk products also had high levels of added sugar in Central America, Bangladesh, Nigeria, and Senegal. Many foods have natural sugars. However, more sugar is often added to manufactured foods for taste, texture, and other reasons. Research on rats has found that added sugars are more addictive than opioids and have similar withdrawal effects. Along with increased risk of obesity and diabetes, added sugars can impact learning and memory, especially in young children. Studies also show too much added sugars can lead to heart disease, high blood pressure, and liver disease. The investigation team studied 115 products sold in Nestle's main markets in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, and carried out laboratory tests on added sugar content, which is often not disclosed on packaging information. In 67 products it was possible to determine the amount of added sugar. On average, products had almost 4 grams a serving, or about 1 sugar cube. The highest amount, 7.3 grams a serving, was detected in Cerelac mixed fruits and soya infant cereals in the Philippines and targeted at 6-month-old babies. The team also examined 29 growing-up milk products sold in low and middle-income countries and found that 21 of them, 72%, contained added sugar. For 10 of these products, the laboratory was able to determine the amount of added sugar. On average, there were almost 2 grams a serving. The maximum value, 5.3 grams a serving, was detected in a product sold in Panama.
We're not talking about some reeling startup here. This is Nestle. They own more than 2,000 brands in 180 countries. Their global sales is more than $100 billion. If Nestle can't do it, who can? So governments need to take note. You can't depend on foreign organizations to call out such products. You must strengthen your own regulators. Carry out periodic tests, increase awareness, and enforce global health guidelines, because one thing is clear: you cannot trust multinationals to protect us. Just look at the health sector. You would think that at least medicines would be safe. Well, think again. Around 10% of all medical products in low and middle income countries are substandard. Recently, we've seen substandard syrups. The latest is in Africa. Regulators in 6 countries have recalled a batch of Johnson & Johnson syrup. Labs found it had high levels of toxicity. Have you wondered why these cases only happen in the global south? Yes, weak regulation is a problem, but so is attitude. Multinationals are willing to gamble on lives in the global south. They think they can get away with it. Not every country can splurge millions on inspections and regulations. But those countries also deserve safe products.
The South African Health Products Regulatory Authority has recalled 2 batches of Benylin pediatric syrup. The affected products come from batches 329303 and 329304. The authority received a report from a Nigerian health regulator after high levels of diethylene glycol were detected in a batch of the syrup. Investigations between SAPRA and Kenvu, formerly known as Johnson & Johnson, found that the affected batches have been distributed to South Africa, Eswatini, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania and Nigeria. Members of the public are urged to monitor any symptoms when consuming Benylin. These include headache, abdominal pain, vomiting and diarrhea, which may lead to death.
Toxin, Bt Bacillus thuringiensis, is actually a listed pesticide by the US Environmental Protection Agency. It's listed itself as a pesticide. So when you eat BT corn, you're eating a pesticide. When you wear BT cotton clothing, you're wearing a pesticide. No wonder we see an incredible increase with skin problems, especially with children.
Pepsi and Coca-Cola found themselves in trouble. An Indian study found that both drinks had high traces of pesticide. It was 30 times what was found in the US and European markets. So many Indian states actually banned these sodas.
This will tell you why a lot of people, after many years, they lied to you when they told you that when you get to be 50 years old, 55, 60, 68, that you will come up with certain kind of sicknesses. Do you know how they knew? I want to tell you, not because of age. They knew that if you continued taking certain things that they were giving you, if you were taking them over a period of time, at a certain point in your life, by the time you're 40, they know the sickness you will have. By the time you're 50, they know the sickness you will have. By the time you're 60, they know the sickness you will have. All these things were programmed. It's in the terrible milk you've been drinking. It's in the beverages you've been drinking. You never knew.
In 1993, the FDA approved genetically modified bovine growth hormone RBGH to be used on cows to produce more milk. This was declared completely safe by the FDA and approved for human consumption. What happened next was something no one would have thought. Canada and Europe both declared RBGH to be unfit for human consumption since it was found that RBGH caused an increase in a hormone called IGF-1, which was transferred from the milk to humans. IGF-1 wasn't broken down by digestion and started to accumulate in the body of the people that consumed the genetically engineered milk. IGF-1 has proven to be the main factor in the growth of multiple types of cancer, including breast cancer, prostate cancer, and even colon cancer. Both the European and Canadian associations blamed the FDA since it had consciously chosen to ignore a study that had said that this exact thing would happen. To top it all, people weren't even aware that they were drinking this cancer-causing milk, since the FDA hasn't made it compulsory for companies to label GMO products as GMO.
So I'm just letting you know the heartlessness. What goes into a mind? What makes someone to be so wicked, so evil, as to destroy so many people? The heartlessness.
Okay, so in case you might ask, how do the fake foods look like? Can I show you something? Can I show you 2 videos that you might want to think twice the next time you go into a vegetable store? Have a look at this.
That was fake food, but what happens when fake food gets into the food and vegetable store for consumption? In light of this dangerous move by the adversary and his cronies, to snuff out the life of the earth's inhabitants by poisonous foods, God's people must remain acutely aware and alert, as well as maintain a solid front through continuous bold faith confessions and tireless prayers, to keep the enemy and his evil works in check until the church is taken out of the way.
And that is what we are saying. You want to destroy all the food? Wait till the proper time. Whatever you want to do. Can't happen now. Can't happen now. And we know the one that's instigating them. So that's why we don't have a problem with those. We don't have a problem with the people. No, we don't have a problem with them, the politicians or the business people, all of those, including those that are being used. We don't have a problem with them. We have a problem with the spirits that are using them. And those are the spirits we address. And Jesus gave us power over those spirits to control them. And we will.
Whatever you bind, forbid, declare to be improper and unlawful on earth, shall have already been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose, permit, declare lawful on earth shall have already been loosed in heaven. The momentum is increasing as the WordFest 6 train continues to accelerate. Below are 5 important ways to participate. Register. Registration is free. Publicize and participate. Get at least 5 others to register and participate with you daily. Testify. Click on the Share Your Testimony button and upload your testimony of the impact of Pastor Chris' message in your life. Sponsor a PCDL message translation. Sponsor a language translation. Join us to make 1,000 PCDL messages available in the top 200 languages of the world. Organize outreaches. Host a daily study outreach and organize one PCDL solutions outreach. Remember to share your insights and inspirations from today's message and documentary on King's Chat using the hashtags #WordFest6, #WordFest2024, #SolutionsEverywhere and #YourZone or Ministry Center, and get ready for more tomorrow.